Your understanding about being in the biblical last days when the Messiah died is, well, stupid as hell. But that is also for another video. I also know others of you who want to point to certain words some abstract tribe used that sound like words from the ancient root language the Hebrew/Aramaic came from. Really? Didn't all of our languages come from a common root words? With the exception of the Bas. So, as far as facts, all you have proven is the Native Americans are not from outer space. Even the fallen ones had to communicate with their subjects somehow. Don't think that I don't know you guys believe 2 quarters and the word of a black man don't add up to $1. But I know you believe what the white man says. According to Wikipedia under cognates, quote, in linguistics, cognates are words that have a common etymological origin. Under characteristics of cognate words, quote, cognates do not need to have the same meaning, which may have changed as the languages develop separately. For example, consider English starve and Dutch sterven, or German sterben, which means to die. These 3 words are all derived from the same Proto-Germanic root, sturbana. Example, again, anything you say dealing with linguistics, with the sheer number of wars, migrations, hybridizations, etc., in the Americas alone, makes marking a specific people by it unscientific. For instance, some of their root words could have come from the Olmec, or those who were associated with them. If that went over your head, just look at the colonizing happy Phoenicians. Those cats are recorded in all history as the first real seafarers and colonizers away from their homeland, excluding the sea people. The entire Mediterranean area was colonized by them, and they are recorded to be the man when it came to long voyages. I have an even better question. Why do the modern day Israelites believe our ancestors were many in number from the beginning? Didn't Yah himself say we were small in number compared to the nations around us? You guys act as though we were Japhet, enlarged, and had an endless supply of people that colonized the entire earth, when in fact, the prophecy said we would be sold and transported to the entire earth. If Yah will take 1 from a house and 2 from a city, maybe there aren't very many of them there to begin with. Why can't you guys come to grips and make it stick that modern genetics have proven the specific Adam seed were all men of color? This can only mean, yes, men of color populated the entire earth. So it should not be a mystery or reason to believe they were Hebrew Israelites when you see pictures of men of color fighting Europeans during the colonization periods. But if you notice on some of the pictures, there are white Indians alongside the European scouts. Well, they were scouts fighting the men of color. I think I know why. According to Wikipedia under 5 civilized tribes, quote, the 5 civilized tribes derived from the colonial and early federal period. It refers to 5 Native American nations, the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Creek, and the Seminole. These are the first 5 tribes that Anglo-European settlers generally considered to be civilized according to their own worldview, namely because these 5 tribes adopted attributes of the colonist culture. For example, Christianity, centralized governments, literacy, market participation, written constitutions, intermarriage with white American, and plantation slavery practices. The 5 civilized tribes tended to maintain stable political relations with the Europeans. Example, translation, they were fucking sellouts. But let's keep going. You Hebrews should just go and tie a mattress to your freaking backs. Why? because you can't wait to go a-whoring after those people who had your black ass in slavery. But as far as the information we just gleaned, it was the old divide and conquer trick. Works every time. The white Indians were civilized while the darker ones were considered savages, just like they did with the Hutu and Tutsi. Question: did the Deuteronomy curses say some of your seed will endure these curses? Nope. Does it say some of your brothers will enslave you? Nope. So, if they don't fit, you must acquit. How on earth can you say these heathens are the seed of Israel when history attests they not only didn't endure our curses, they were a part of the oppressors? Sure, I know the fork-tongued devil lied to them time and time again, but the very fact they were at the table to be lied to proves they don't fit. Thus, you must acquit. Each and every one of the attributes just mentioned are in direct opposition to the curses placed on Yah's people, except the Christianity part. Everything from self-governance, participating in commerce, in a marriage and not rape, and most definitely not owning slaves themselves. Here's another fly in the ointment. You don't willingly pre-adopt an entire lifestyle. Let me say that again. You don't willingly pre-adopt an entire lifestyle of those who would wage war on you and sell you. But wait! Here comes the white devil's tried and true first line of offense to subdue their prey. Also, if you use System 2 thinking, you can start to determine who was who according to how the white man does business. According to the same reference material under terminology and usage, quote, the use of the term civilized has historically been employed to differentiate the 5 tribes from other tribes that, by contrast, were referred to during the same period as wild. Non-indigenous historical texts. What? Non-indigenous historical texts have used the term wild as an identifier of Indians that, after European contact, maintained their traditional practices, such as hunting for food. Example. So non-indigenous historical texts attest there were different tribes, thus different seeds who we now call Indians living in the Americas. Now do you see why murals of dark-skinned people fighting Europeans are being stashed away and hidden? But that's not the big fig Newton of this video. According to Wikipedia under slavery among Native Americans in the United States, quote, it includes slavery by Native Americans as well as slavery of Native Americans, roughly within the present-day United States. Stop! Why don't we ever hear about this part of their fucking history? Because they were rounding up and enslaving indigenous blacks just like the white man did in Africa. You don't believe me? Quote, tribal territories and the slave trade raged over present-day borders. Some Native American tribes held war captives as slaves prior to and during European colonization. Some Native Americans were captured and sold by others into slavery to Europeans. And a small number of tribes in the late 18th and 19th centuries adopted the practice of holding slaves as chattel property and held increasing numbers of African American slaves. So it was two kinds. It was two kinds. Example. Surely we know they didn't wage war, this and that and the other, against their own kinmen, seeing we know indigenous blacks lived there too. All I see is a bunch of Hebrew whores willing to slap it, flip it, and rub it down for the same white devils Indians and Europeans, who not only enslaved you, but also returned you when Yah found favor in you and allowed you to escape. And to think, those same Indian nations are in court making sure none of your black asses can get any of the billion-dollar casino money by denying your claim of inheritance. Treacherous ass Judah.